And next up, I'm excited to welcome our next presenter, Mike Burke, VP Corp Dev for Sitka Gold. I met this team in Vancouver after doing a dinner with a bunch of newsletter writers and fund managers, and this name became highly recommended by some guys that I respect. So got to know them at the VRC, got to get to understand the DNA of the company, and they are advancing their RC Gold project in the Yukon. Mike, great to meet you. I'll let you take it away. Got 10 to 12 minutes, and then we'll take some Q&A.
All right, thanks, Arlen. So jumping right into it, got to go like a auctioneer here to get through my 12 minutes. But yeah, Sitka Gold, we're up in the Yukon. We drill year round, so we're drilling right now in our project. That's a shot up at site. So that's one of the benefits we have. Great road network, road accessible property, even though we're up in the north. So that leads to a lot of cost savings. I'm a geologist as my background, so obviously I'm going to make some forward-looking statements and just fill you in on what our drivers are for this year. First off here, we just announced in February before PDAC our updated mineral resource estimate. So we upped that to 3.83 million ounces in the inferred category and 1.29 in indicated. So we have three deposits. The third deposit, Rosgobble, was just discovered last year, and the first deposit was discovered in 2021. So we've rapidly grown ounces at this project. We're doing 60,000 meters of drilling. I mentioned that we've started. There's our drill on the hillside right now. So that project has started, and to date, since 2020, we've only done 60,000 meters of drilling. So we're doubling the amount of drilling on this project, and the aim is to obviously expand those three known deposits as well as make additional discoveries. It's a multiple targets. There's 11 known gold-bearing intrusions. I'll explain a bit of the geology. Our treasury's full. We have $45 million. Our drilling costs are 350 dollars all in per meter. So you can see that we've got plenty of money in the treasury. Those drill costs are low because of our location. I'll show you that. We are working on a spin-out transaction. We just announced that. We have other non-core assets down in Nevada and Arizona that we're going to spin out into a new company. So our shareholders will get a dividend of new shares in a new company. And of course, the other additional work, metallurgical and environmental baselines and events such as like this to let people know what we're up to. So our company snapshot share price did quite well last year, obviously, as we're making that third deposit discovery, the Rosgobble, and drill results were coming out. Our share price increased pretty significantly. We've been up over $1, recent dip like everybody. So it's a buying time, in my opinion. Good institutional backing, and we've had a lot of analysts up to site. So we've got coverage outlining prices from kind of $3 to over $4, little over 400 million shares outstanding, good insider ownership, and a lot of track in front of us. Like I said, we're fully funded, so we've got a full year of exploration with a huge drill program, 60,000 meters, basically bought and paid for. So a lot of good news coming. We're focused on discovery. That's something that we've talked about. And since 2020, when we got drilling on this project, we found a lot of gold. So my background, I'm a geologist. I've worked in the Yukon most of my career, 20 years with the Yukon Geological Survey. Um, it's the government organization. So I first visited this RC Gold project in 1992. I've been to every drill program, very familiar with the project. Corco, our CEO, is a geologist, financial background, very heavy on the geology end of things. Recently, we've added additional directors, independent directors, as we start adding value to these discoveries we made. So Louis Archambault, he's a mining engineer, senior mining executive, a strong background in financial, worked for CIBC, as well as he was with the Orezone when they were taken out, so mergers and acquisition. Angus Campbell, Angus was the VP Exploration for Sabina Gold and Silver before they got taken out by B2 Gold, and most recently Carolyn Hendrick joined our board. She's a corporate and securities lawyer. I always like to point out Craig Hart. Craig Hart and I worked together at the Yukon Geological Survey for a decade. He's the chair of Snowline Gold, so we continue to enjoy talking to each other about geology as we figure out these deposits. So I mentioned we've got a portfolio of projects. We're focused in the Yukon. Our projects down in Nevada and Arizona, we're spinning out into that new company. Sitka will retain ownership, likely 20%, just under 20, and shareholders will get a dividend. But we're focused on our project in the Yukon. So the RC Gold Project, if you're not familiar with this neck of the world, the first discovery was Fort Knox over in Alaska. So this is a belt of 90 million year old intrusions that are all associated with gold. It's offset by the Tintina Fault and carries on in the Yukon. So in the Yukon, Fort Knox was discovered in the 80s. People came over the Yukon, found the Brewery Creek mine, found the Dublin Gulch that turned into Eagle Mine, and most recently, the Valley Gold discovery of Snowline Gold has really raised people's attention, as well as our RC project, where we've discovered a significant amount of gold. So that's a very prolific belt. We're in the western part of the belt, so location-wise, we're very near Dawson City. Dawson City, home of the famous gold rush, but there's the Dawson City Airport. Just go down the highway and 35 kilometers off the highway and a 2 hour drive, you're into our project. So it's got a good road network. This area's seen historical placer mining, and you can see there's Brewery Creek off to our west. Here's the Eagle Mine of Victoria Gold, Banyan's Ormac property, and then, of course, Keno Hill that's being mined by Hecla. So since 2020, we've seen about 14 million ounces of gold added to this district. It's over 20 million ounces now. It's a maturing district as we enter into this final phase of exploration where we're seeing deposits develop into mines. So I mentioned grade. These are large, low-grade deposits. I mean, Fort Knox under a gram. They're mining 0.3 grams per ton now. Victoria, when they started, was at 0.63 grams per ton. These are all resources at 0.3 gram per ton cutoff. Banyan's around the same. They're looking at higher grade resources with a higher cutoff. As I mentioned, our Blackjack deposit, I'll give you details on that. It's at a gram in the indicated category, and on our inferred resources are at 0.72. And of course, Snowline Gold up north of a gram is a beautiful discovery. They're out in the eastern part of the Yukon, so they've got a nicer grade and we have nicer infrastructure. So it's a large property, 431 square kilometers. These kind of red blobs you can see are those gold-bearing intrusions. There's 11 of them that we've discovered to date. We focused on the western part of the property. This is called the Clear Creek Intrusive Complex. And you can see in those intrusions, we've discovered 3 deposits to date, the Blackjack, Eiger, and Rosgobble down here. So here's our resource. As I mentioned, Blackjack was the first discovery back in 2021. Indicated resource, 1.3 million ounces at just a little over a gram. Inferred another million ounces at 0.94. Rosgobble, first drilled 2 holes in 2024, bulk of the drilling last year. Initial resource, 2.25 million ounces at a grade of 0.7. And then the Eiger is a smaller deposit, 500,000 ounces at a slightly lower grade, half a gram. So all these deposits are going to be the main focus of our exploration as we continue to grow them, because none of them are drilled off. So just to give you an idea of the lay of the land, this is, you can see those intrusions again. The Rosgobble to the south and the Blackjack and Eiger are only 5 kilometers apart. You can see they're all flowing into the same drainage. You can even see some placer mining workings in the foreground here. This area has seen extensive placer mining in the creeks, so there's gold everywhere here. This is a long section showing distribution of our drilling. We're going to focus on the Rosgobble, that new discovery. It's getting half our drilling. It's got a large footprint, so we expect to expand that significantly. It's got the pedigree to be one of these large plus 5 million ounce deposits like we see at Fort Knox, Eagle, Snowline, and Banyan. And then other deposits, the Blackjack and Eiger, will continue to drill those off. And we've got other targets where we've got some great drill holes into that we hope to do enough drilling to outline an initial mineral resource there as well. So here's just quickly into the Blackjack. We've got some potential to still expand it in the near surface environment. We haven't quite drilled it off there. This is a saddle zone that sits within the pit limits. And then a lot of potential below the pit to look at an potential underground resource. We've had some great hits down there, 8 and 6 meters of over 5 grams per ton. So we're intersecting mineralization that could be mined underground. So we'll be looking at that as well. So there's the drilling. You can see we're beyond the pit limits. There's some drill holes that are within it. So we'll continue to expand that deposit this year. And that brown area is the better than 1 gram material. So it's got a nice core to it, comes right up to surface. So it'll be a nice starter pit there. The Eiger, it's just less than a kilometer and a half away. That's the 0.3 gram per ton cutoff. So it's a nice deposit as well, a little lower grade. We've hit outside the pit limits as well, and it does contain higher grade zones, as you can see in the brown here as I move through. That's the better than 1 gram grade blocks. So we'll continue doing a little bit of work there to keep expanding it. So these deposits are wide open. And you can see they're only a kilometer and a half apart, so it can be managed together quite easily in the mining scenario. This is the Rosgobble. This is the discovery that we made last year. In the background is the intrusion with soil geochemistry. You can see it has a large footprint in the near surface environment. We've only drilled the central part of that soil anomaly. So this is why we're doing 30,000 meters of drilling here. We think it's got great potential for expansion. And another thing is it has a significant component of tungsten. You can see over here the 173 meters in hole 2 that hit 0.6 grams per ton gold also hit 0.095 tungsten. So we're reanalyzing our core because the gold analysis doesn't give you proper results for tungsten, but there looks to be a significant component of tungsten, and we'll look at that as a potential significant byproduct for this deposit. So stay tuned for more news on that. So here's the Rosgobble. You can kind of see the pit there. That's the 0.3 gram per ton cutoff. As I mentioned, we only did the bulk of the drilling last year, was the first drilling. There's hits outside of that pit limit. You can see the drill holes here. So a little more drilling to fill in there. We'll be able to expand the resource. But this deposit's open to the north, south, east, west, and down dip. So a lot of work to do here, and we're really looking forward to doing 30,000 meters of drilling on it. This again is that 1 gram per ton kind of ore blocks. So you can see there's a nice component here at surface that could be a great starter pit. So we're seeing a nice concentration of good gold values there right at surface. And as I mentioned, tungsten, significant component. If you've never seen the mineral scheelite under ultraviolet light, it's beautiful, shows up easy. So that's where we recognize there was a lot of tungsten. These deposits are known to have associated tungsten. This Rosgobble deposit is just unique in that it has a lot of tungsten. So yeah, we're investigating that, obviously, by continuing to drill, doing additional metallurgy to look at co-producing tungsten. We've done metallurgy on all 3 deposits. We're continuing to do that this year. All respond well metallurgically, which is typical of these styles of deposits. They respond well metallurgically, so no surprises there in the work we've been doing. Again, this just shows the proximity. We're kind of looking in the underground. You can see the Rosgobble and Blackjack and Eiger are all within 5 kilometers, as well as there's other targets there that we hope to develop into resources, Pukaman Contact and the Bearpaw Breccia. This is the Pukaman. It's midway between those deposits. Drill hole there hit 119 meters of better than a gram. So we're obviously going to do more work there. That's soil geochem in the background. Again, it's got a big footprint. Just need to do more drilling to figure this out and hopefully add to the resource base with that deposit. Again, everything's very compact in the same area. What are we doing this year? The goal with that 60,000 meters is to, make new discoveries as well as define those known deposits better so that we can move into a PEA. So we're trying to condense the timeline as much as we can by working hard and fast. So we'll move into economic studies early in the new year and next year, and then just push this project towards potential production because it's a great discovery. It's a long way from being complete. You can see it's a large project, tons of exploration targets. We'll focus, like I said, on those known deposits so that we can get to the point of making a production decision. But of course, there's going to be exploration here for decades. There's just so much potential on this large property. Again, 431 square kilometers. So some very advanced, deposit definition to very grassroots targets. So long legs on this one and an exciting year coming for us at Sitka Gold. So happy to take any questions and hear from you here.
Yeah, awesome. And just a reminder to our audience, there's a lot of you out there. If you have any questions, type them in. I want to talk about this tungsten. You've announced some grades on a couple holes. So I'm imagining that when you're doing the review of the tungsten, you're going to be looking at all the drill core at the Rosgobble to kind of look at that economics of that. Now, point 0.1 tungsten to me looks like $40 rock. Like, so that's a significant byproduct there, right?
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, that's something I'm certainly looking to see what how the economics are gonna go on that. Clearly a ton of exploration upside here too across your entire district. How many holes is 60,000 meters going to give you, and kind of what's the breakdown between exploration and infill drilling on that?
It'll get us, around 100 holes. Three quarters is at the known deposits. So, 45,000 meters, 30,000 meters into Rosgobble. Again, our first, substantial drill program was last year. The only first two diamond drill holes ever put into that target was our drilling in late 2024. So this is a brand new discovery. It's an area that we've known geologically for a very long time. I mean, like I mentioned, I worked for the Geological Survey. I was up there, in 1992, 1995. Kennecott did some work on this project with some very shallow reverse circulation drilling in that target area. And since that time, nobody's done anything. So we're pretty excited knowing the history to get back in and drill that area, and it's exceeded our expectations, or certainly met them. As I mentioned, we think it has the pedigree to be a 5 million plus ounce deposit, and that work that we're doing this year, well, with the drill, the truth machine, we're going to know how big this thing is. So it's a really exciting year for that. And the tungsten, absolutely, it's unique in that it has a lot of tungsten. I mean, all our deposits have sniffs of tungsten in them, but this Rosgobble has got a lot more. So we've submitted all the drill holes, well, 36 of them in for tungsten analysis. You have to use a different technique to get the full value, an accurate assay. So we expect that those results should be out fairly soon, and we'll work on outlining what kind of tungsten resource. But again, as a byproduct to a gold mine, it
Mhm.
would be really significant value add.
Yeah.
It's not a standalone tungsten deposit, but boy, as a value add, it'd be pretty unique. I'm pretty sure we'd be the only gold tungsten mine in the world. So
Uh,
hopefully that comes to fruition.
a $40 byproduct on an open pit is excellent for your economics. Very quick question. You're drilling all year round. Is there any breaks between winter and summer, like a winter breakup or spring breakup or anything like that that you got to pause for?
Yeah, winter, we take a break. We don't like having people in at camp during Christmas or Valentine's Day. So,
That's so
uh,
kind of you, Mike.
yeah, I'm not going to say any names, but I work for a company. I had to go into camp on February 14th, and I
Aw.
swore I'd never do that to anybody I worked with. And so, yeah, we go in mid-February after Valentine's Day.
Uh,
And we typically, we're not going to shut down for spring this year.
okay.
Part of the winter drilling, gets you in there early. You can clear the snow off the roads so you can manage spring breakup better. It's still muddy and a little bit more difficult, but with the size of program we're doing, we're going to push through that time period. and we'll see when we finish the 60,000 meters. It could be in the early fall, September, early October, and then we'll take that break over the winter because those drill results at the end of the season, we're still getting drill results around Christmas time. So we'll have a steady news flow for the next year.
Yeah. Well, sounds like that CEO had a black heart. And we're not fans of people with black hearts. Mike, a great job today. I wish you all the success here on this year's program. I think you certainly set up for success here. Your rate of discovery, I think, is exceptional. So well done to your geological team. And yeah, I think shareholders also got to look forward to your spin out, right? Like that's great value add. So
Yeah,
wonderful.
absolutely. Great value though. Those are great properties down in Arizona and Nevada. I mean, Alpha Gold is, 40 kilometers south of the 4 Mile discovery. We've drilled there in the past, got some great sniffs of gold. Burro Creek has a historical resource on it. So we've done work, but they're sitting on the shelf and they deserve the work. So we'll spin that out, get a new group managing that, and definitely look forward to some results from there.